Hi everyone, let's talk about In the Year of the Dragon. So I first played this a couple of years ago and it was a four-player game and I really enjoyed the fact that it's a really punishing game, which generally I don't like. I talked about how I don't really like that in co-op games and things. It just kind of feels like a drag when it's just a game beating you down. But what I liked about In the Year of the Dragon was how honest it was about the fact it was going to do that. It's not through, an event deck or random things or rolling dice or anything. It's exactly spelled out for you exactly how this game is going to try and beat you down. The whole game, the whole 12 rounds of the game are laid out in tiles at the bottom, and you know when it's coming and how long you have to prepare for absolutely everything in the game. And I really like that. And when things had gone wrong in the game, I kind of thought that, well, I knew that was happening. I just didn't think that it was going to be that big of an issue, or thought I had more. That's the thing in this game. You always think you have more time to prepare for these events than you actually have. And so I quite liked it, and Rach hated it. Hated the fact that it just felt like you couldn't do anything and that the game was just trying to constantly punish you. So now it comes to a couple of years on and we are revisiting it because, the 10th anniversary edition has come out. It's always one that I'd wanted. It was out of print for ages and ages. And so you could either get a German copy or get a really expensive English copy. So it's a big plus that these 10th anniversary editions of this and Notre Dame are now out. And so you can just get a copy wherever you like. And it comes with the expansions as well. The expansions for this seemed a bit easier to get than the Notre Dame one, but it's good that it's just all included in the box there. But anyway, we come back to it a couple of years later. Rach still remembering that she didn't like it, but me remembering that I really, really liked it. And we played it two players for the first time, and I'm kind of on Rach's side now. I think I still stand by all of the stuff about how it's all laid out for you how this game is going to work, and I do really I liked it when we played with four players. The way that you kind of group these action tiles, and so you are kind of blocking. You're not really blocking anything off. You're forcing people to pay money, which is scarce like everything in this game. But I like how, based on the number of players, you split the tiles into that many groups, and you can either go on a free group or you can pay to go on a group that's got someone in there. And I always thought this would be a great thing in two players because you're limiting, you're blocking off four actions then. But it does kind of end up that sometimes all of the actions are useless on your side, and you're going to have to pay or just be stuck on there. But I don't know, maybe it's adding the wall in as well. I don't know what happened there. Yeah, it feels like there's always something that you can do, which, I don't know why that makes it feel worse for me, because it's still very, very tight and tense and everything, but I kind of liked the way that they were grouped up in a four-player game. I liked the kind of restriction that each group only had a couple of things in it for you to choose from. But the main thing that struck me was, and I'm not sure if I'd feel this way playing a four-player game now, but certainly in a two-player game, it's a lot more restrictive, as you might expect. From when we were setting it up and we realised, there's only one older person for each of the stacks, and even though there is that is still restrictive in a game with more players, there are still fewer than you need for everybody to be able to have one. You could kind of specialise you would suffer in the person track, but I remember you could kind of go heavy into getting a couple of these older versions of the people and be really, really strong in a particular thing. And you can't really do that in this. You can have one at most, and then it's completely denied the person. We realised as well that if you kind of plan it out right, you can kind of deny the person the military tiles they need to be able to win the invasion right from the beginning of the game. And I suppose it's your job to not put yourself in that position, but it's easily doable. And it's not that big a deal. You can kind of, work out that, I know I'm going to lose people at these points, so I need to have people that I can afford to lose and all of that stuff. So for the expansions, they're nice little things. They are, not world-changing things. You saw that the super events are just, you'll pick one from I think 10 different tiles and put it on the 7th round, and something's going to happen. Either things that wouldn't normally happen, like in this game it was reset the person track back to 0. In other games it's been score the Buddhas now, or lose all of your privilege tiles now. There are certain big things that will happen, and again, it's coming. It's face up on that tile. It's always going to happen at the end of the 7th round, and you know exactly what it's going to be. But yeah, that's a nice little extra thing. The wall, I didn't really. Yeah, I suppose that depends on the way things come out. So, like, this is the worst possible example of it, actually. In a game with 2 players as well, I am just talking about 2 players here. If the invasion tile comes out at the end, or close to the end, like it did in this game, it was the very last round, then for you to be able to score your wall tiles, both players need to have put everything out so the wall reaches that last tile, and then each player is just going to score 6 points. So then there hasn't been much point to it, and if you don't reach it, it's just kind of a who can just build one more than the other, so you don't have to lose a person, or even it out so you both lose a person. So in a 2-player game especially, I didn't really like it. It seemed like it would be better with more people, just because not only do you have more people weighing in, and maybe one person's really going for it, and now the 2 other people suddenly decide they need to get into gear, and suddenly the wall is racing up, and you can't put any more down, and we're set in the number of points that everybody's getting, and there won't be any punishments there. It just seems like in 2 players, it's it does depend on whether that invasion tile is going to. If it was earlier on, I suppose it's a lot easier to reach, and then it's not as much of an issue. But yeah, in a 2-player game, when it's getting right to the end, it does feel a bit like we haven't got that option of scoring them, or we have, and by doing it, we've spent a lot of actions, and we're just going to get the same amount of points each. But the kind of the negative part of it, where you're just kind of trying to stay above water and things like that. That's the thing that kind of struck me a lot more about the 2-player game. I didn't really. I don't know if it's just time that's passed, or specifically with the 2-player game, but it kind of does feel like you are trying to, and the game is all about punishing you, and you trying to avoid that punishment the best. You can't really do that well in the game. You are just trying to get punished the least. It's like that thing of running away from a bear, and you don't need to outrun the bear, you just need to outrun the other person. That's the kind of thing. You just need to do better than the other person, slightly better. And in that way, it didn't feel as satisfying to me, because it isn't really that mean inherently, but some things really are, because it's all about, like, if you saw the playthrough, the part, especially in the middle, where Marty hadn't quite gotten the right people. He didn't have any money, so he was kind of restricted to whatever he could get from the action set that he had. And then me, as the player that was doing quite well, could use that to my advantage, knowing that I had money and all of these things. Like, well, I could kind of do any of these actions, but I know you want to do this action, so I'm going to go on this side, because I know you've got no money, and I know that you're desperate for this, so I'm just going to stop you doing it. And it's that. Like I said, I don't know if it's just the game itself, or it's more pronounced in a 2-player game, because you're always denying the same person. These things like that are always more pronounced in a 2-player game. But it did, feel like, yeah, I need to do this, even when it's not particularly denying someone. I need to do this thing, but I know you really need to do it, so I'm sorry that I'm going to have to deny you doing it. But yeah, I need to do it as well, and I know this is going to stop you and really set you back and stuff, but it just has to be done. That is the kind of game that it is, and that's not really like a fault of it. That is, I assume, exactly what it is going for. And like I said, I don't know if it's time or just the fact that we hadn't played it 2 players before, but I am on Rachel's side now, that it wasn't really enjoyable this time around, and I don't think it's one for us, which, we tend to love Stefan Fell games, but this is definitely, it's not a point salad. It is, as I said, it's the game is going to try its best to completely destroy both of you, and who can kind of come out of it not completely destroyed, who's got the kind of dregs of their little empire they've been building left behind, who's got a little bit more than the other. So yeah, not one for us in the end, but it's, you can see the playthrough, and there's other playthroughs out there, and decide if it's one for you. But that is In the Year of the Dragon. Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you for the next game. Bye.